Gene, how are you, man?
Hey, what's up? Thanks for having me, man. This is cool.
No problems. Look, I'm super pumped for this. This is the first time I have actually done a reaction video with the actual creator of the art, right? So this is a massively different take for me. I don't know that I've seen a reaction video where the actual artist is part of the reaction video. So this could be a
Uh,
world first. I don't know. Don't quote me on that, but it might
yeah,
be.
we'll give it a shot. I mean, it could be the most, it's a little bit like, oh man, but let's do it.
Yeah, man. Let's do it. Let's rip in. I'm super psyched. That's such a cool riff, dude. Is that like a drop D flat?
Yeah, it's low.
That's cool. That's such a good change. Dude, it's catchy as hell. Oh my gosh, I dig that pre-chorus, dude. It's so good. Every time. Yes. Gotta bring guitar solos back, man. That's so good. It's very Aerosmithy at the end. That's
Oh
cool.
yeah. That ending, that Aerosmith ending, I mean, it was kind of funny, at first, and then it was like, man, it's a tip of the hat. Like I grew up around
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that, the old school MTV Headbangers Ball where there was like Ragdoll, Living in an Elevator, all that
Yep.
stuff. And it's funny because just about 3 weeks ago, I went back and I'm like, I was jogging and I put on "Living on the Edge" by Aerosmith
Yeah, that's
because
such a good tune. That's a
oh, dude,
banger.
it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
still to this day just epically, amazingly huge, and it's like 30 years old. And I heard the ending, and I'm like, oh, this is the song I directly like subconsciously, was like, because it's
Mm.
supposed to be just a tip of a hat to it. And I went and listened to it, and I'm like, that's pretty much spot on. This could be a lawsuit.
No. Oh, look, I mean, if it got to that, I mean, how petty then is the music industry getting? I mean, it's in a bit of a hole anyway, but if that were the
Yeah,
case, you'd be just super bummed. You'd be like, really? Like
yeah.
that's rough. So that track, man, because that's a I mean, I don't want to say it's a return to form, but that's a really great lead-in track for the album. So obviously the album's dropping on the 22nd. Um, what a track to lead in with, and how did that track come about? So I would assume that you are, prolific songwriter. Obviously, 2008. We are come back to 2008, the MySpace days. I remember them fondly.
Yeah.
But you were doing a track a week, right? So you did the track a week thing. So I would imagine you're all over this song. Did you come up with the riffs, the guitar parts, the melodies, lyrics? Like, what was your hand in the construction of this track?
Right. I mean, there's a little bit, there's a lot to that. Like basically with Bullets and Octane, basically starting in like 99, 98, whatever you want to call it. I've always had different eras where I had a partner involved type of thing. And
Mm-hmm.
this day and age, I'm working with Clay Davies, who's also produced this album, and
Yep.
we co-wrote it together. And yes, you are correct. I mean, I pretty much write every day. I try to write at least 2 to 3 whatever, just ideas. I grab my guitar, I run to the bathroom, or it has decent acoustics. I push record, and I'm like, okay, I get the idea. Let's save it for later and just collect
Yep.
ideas all the time. And he's really picky. Clay, as like this album, he really was like pushing me to do the best I could do, and I think I need that. I think sometimes I let stuff slide because of one thing or the other, where I'm like, well, but there's a lot of emotion with this idea, and it might not be
Yep.
necessarily suitable for the Bullets and Octane overall sound, if there's really such a thing. But so yeah, I think it was just our whole game plan was that I'm going to come up with verses and choruses as best as possible. I'm not really a big riff guy necessarily. I'm not a
Yep.
noodly person, real basic songwriter guy and all that crap. So I'll send him things like that, and then we'll kind of go, okay, that's a great start. Let's build some riffage around that, and take it over. I noticed you reacted to the pre-chorus a little bit. The "Give me
That-
Vicodin,
That's
ketamine."
it's just that chord change. It's just
Okay.
yeah, it's just a great. I mean, lyrically, it's catchy, but it's just that chord change because you don't anticipate it going there.
Yeah,
But then when the chorus kicks in, it's like that pre-chorus is the perfect launch pad to the chorus.
I
So it was
love
just
that.
it was just a cool change. Yeah.
I mean, dude, one of my favorites that I feel like they're the kings of that in such a way to where it's like, I love creative crap and all that stuff. And I like it when people
Mm.
pull you in places that are unexpected. We all kind of like that. We've heard music for so long. We really need something to kind of keep us interested, but at the same
Yep.
time, make it to where it feels effortlessly like beautiful, right? And I think like
Mm.
Def Leppard, as much as that might be
Oh,
not the same thing, but dude, they do the
yeah.
best key change
Yeah.
pre-choruses and it sounds beautiful. It doesn't sound too like, oh, where'd you go with that? It really
Yeah.
flows. So Def Leppard is, believe it or not, I'm just like, man, they still to this day, you hear those, all those amazing, epic, huge tracks they put out in the 90s, 80s. They were great at that. Absolutely great
Man,
at it.
I think, and we spoke online,
Yeah.
before this, obviously briefly, but I I get the impression, obviously, we're basically the same age. I think I'm a smidge older. I think I'm a smidge older,
Yes.
but basically the same age for the most part. And man, I am an '80s kid. I grew up with, again, the Def Leppards. It was Bon Jovi. It was Skid Row. It
Right.
was Extreme, Poison, Warrant, Dokken, like all these bands. And then obviously, the '90s kind of rolled around. It was more, Love Hate and Spread Eagle and all,
Yeah.
LSD, like all these other bands for me that was still in that kind of vein, but the pendulum was shifting. Um, Man, I
Yeah.
still listen to some of those older albums, and it's although they're hard to listen to because the production has changed. I mean, Def Leppard being an exception, Bon Jovi perhaps being an exception. Um, but just
Right.
some of the songs and some of the way that the songs were constructed, especially around the Def Leppards and the Bon Jovis and bands that were writing
Yeah.
bangers back then. Man, it was a time to be alive. It was
Yeah.
great growing up through that era and then into the '90s. I mean, the '90s for me and bands that I was listening to in the '90s. I mean, later in the '90s, but bands like Big Wreck were massive for me. Like I really got into those guys, and I was struggling to find my musicality, my place in music. I'm a guitar player personally, and I
Okay.
grew up listening to all the shredders and doing all that kind of stuff in the Dream Theaters and so forth. But mid to late '90s, I kind of lost my way. It's really cool listening to something like that song, "Losing My Mind," which is it takes me back to the early 90s. I think of bands like Love Hate when I hear that song, I think of Love Hate. Other people probably say, it's more Gunners or Aerosmith or this and that, but I don't know, man. It's got a really cool early 90s hard rock edge to it that I really dig.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting now that, like you said earlier in that right there, that we're roughly the same age, and we all, for the most part, I mean, that's just kind of the interesting thing. There's such a bigger conversation to be had here. We talk a lot about
Mm.
lately about how back in our day there was one funnel, major labels, radio stations, MTV, right? Just a few avenues that way of how, in a mass, all of us were getting the music. And we're at a place now where there's not really any control necessarily of what you're what's being fed to people. They have their own choice of what they want to hear, and I think that's of course that's beautiful. Everyone has their own freedom to do so, but there's a camaraderie that kind of happens in a collective society where we all got Brian Adams, even if we liked it or not. We got it all
Yeah.
shoved down our throats, and vice versa. What the good and bad we all had to suffer through and enjoy. And
Yeah.
it's kind of interesting. At that time, there was like the separation between the 90s. If you were a Motley Crue fan, you're not going to necessarily appreciate the Nirvanas of the world and shit like that, right?
Yeah.
So, for the music you just heard, the Bullets and Octane stuff, I was a drummer growing up. That's like my main instrument. And it's funny because you had Story of the Year. I think you're doing
Dude, we're going to
something
get to
about
that.
them. Oh, we'll get
And
to
we're
that.
going to get
Okay.
to, we're
But
going to get to all that stuff.
so, as
I'm
far
over
as
that.
being a songwriter and stuff, when the 90s came around, and I know the 90s kind of really upset a lot of guitar based players, like, what the hell is this? But
Dude,
for
I was
me, it made
devastated.
I
I
know
was
that's what I
devastated.
can kind of
I'm like,
tell, right? But for me, it was kind of like accessibility. Like I realized then, like, okay, Welcome to Paradise by Green Day. I feel
Mhm.
like I can pick up a guitar and possibly try to be a songwriter. But when I was hearing like I said, like Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses and stuff, it seemed so daunting to even think about why would I ever pick up a guitar. So
Yep.
when a lot of these 90s bands came around, I'm like, well, if that's all it really takes, let me give this a shot. And I could pick up 3 or 4 chords and it doesn't feel like, where do I even begin? It's like, here's the starting point, and it's all about the emotion of songwriting. So for
Yep.
me, back to full circle of working with Clay Davies on this particular album and that song, Losing My Mind, is I've always loved finding the counterpartner, which is like the technical guitar player guy. That guy,
Mhm.
I need him around because I can come up with, here comes this melody and the key change, and I love that stuff. That's my favorite things ever, like the Elvis Costello is, and all these things about melody, and then have somebody come in and go, that's fantastic. Let's chunk it up with some of this magic.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, man. And so the clip itself, obviously, I don't know if, if you were able to see the clip in the end, but anyway, the clip itself, obviously you were there, you were part of that creative process as well. Obviously you're very hands-on with the music aspect of what you do and that side of the art. The other side of the art is the visual. So stylistically, where did you get the idea or direction for that clip?
For the video itself, there
Mm.
was we have this friend who was a longtime fan of the band named Akash, and he has like it's called a 86 production type of thing, and he was just now starting all of his like production stuff and wanted to do something to get it off the ground. And I think basically we were like the guinea pig for his production team of like, well, I love this band and I would love to do a video for this song. So it was kind of like I always like to give people like free reign when it comes to that, because you know it isn't like we have this massive budget of like we're going to
Yeah.
pay a bunch of people to do stuff. So I always look at it like, hey man, what is it you need for your portfolio, or what is it like you've always wanted to do? And let's
Yeah.
do that. I want them to be just as passionate about it, instead of it being like, yeah, we'll do this video for you. It's more like, what do you want to do? You want me to jump out of a
Yeah.
plane? Let's do this thing.
Let's do
So
that.
we had different ideas in the beginning, but it was hard to find, believe it or not, in Los Angeles here or whatever. It was hard to lock down locations within our price range for what we wanted to do originally for the song. So it ended
Yeah.
up being like, I think I just said like, man, going back to our conversation about old school music videos, is like the old school rooftop music video,
Yeah.
been done too many times to count, but done the right way, maybe find something about it. Just, tried and true stuff, not trying to recreate the wheel, but let's just
Yeah.
keep it basic. So It turns out we just so happened to find that building, and it's the same building we shot another song for this album coming out, "No One Gets Out Alive," which was with Steve Stevens from Billy Idol. I don't know
Sick.
if you dug into that, but
Yeah, I saw that one. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I
he
heard
was
that.
able to
Dude,
come.
Steve's a monster.
He really is, and he does it like effortlessly. He's like, "What about
He
this?" And
does.
it's like, "Are you
And
kidding
super
me?"
tasteful too, though.
Yeah,
If man, if you ever want a masterclass in tasteful guitar playing, you got to listen to Vince Neil's solo album where
yeah,
Steve Stevens plays on. Dude, it's absolute bullshit. Like his chops, yeah, like his chops are there, but he just doesn't overplay. He plays the right thing at the right time, and it
yeah.
just adds so much to the track, you know. So man, that's a massive coup for you guys. Did you approach him for that?
Yeah, it was really, really weird. I think it was TikTok or something like that.
Oh
Which
no
at the
shit.
time I really didn't mess with a lot of these things. And I got a
Yeah.
message or something from him, but I know there's so many fake accounts. But at this point in my career, I'm just like, I don't care. So I wrote him and I'm like, "Hey man, if this is you, here's my phone number." And I'm like, I have no
Yeah.
idea who I just gave my phone number to. This ought to be. And I
Fucking
think it was a day, like the next day, I got a phone call from like a 666 number, no joke. And I looked down and I kind of forgot about that. And I go, "No way." So I answer and it's Steve Stevens. And I'm like, it still could be a prank. It still could be bull, you know? So
yeah.
I'm like, and it just so happened that the song "No One Gets Out Alive," we had it at a place in the studio where I'd feel confident playing it for the real Steve Stevens. So
Mhm.
sent it to him and he's like, "I love it. It's really cool." And I go, "Well, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a spot in there for a guitar solo." And I'm just like, I'm just going to go for it, you know? And he was like, "I'd love to play on it." And I couldn't believe it. So,
Yeah.
I told Clay, my partner, and like, dude, so we sent him the track. And literally within hours, he sends us back with that solo. And I'm
Yeah.
like, it's really him. It's really Steve
Yeah.
Stevens. And so then I really reached for it and I go, "Well, you wouldn't want to be in the music video, would you?" Thinking that that's because he lives in Vegas, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And when it got better, he was like, "Well, if I'm going to be in the video, I might as well play on the entire song." And I'm like, "Oh my God, this just
Fuck,
keeps getting
dude.
better and better." And he literally flew down from Vegas, shifted, got shuttled over to the music video site. We
Yeah.
shot that video in like 3 hours, and then he was back to the airport. And I couldn't believe it because we were all up in the. I know I'm rambling here, but it's kind of funny.
No, no.
We were looking out the window, like, "Okay, I got a text. He's here." And we all look out the window about 4 flights down, and we see him get out of this black Lincoln SUV and the big black Steve Stevens hair, and I'm like, "Wow, it's
Crazy.
really happening," you know. So
Man,
he's the sweetest guy too. Most humble, sweetest, supportive human being. I couldn't believe it.
how good is it when you meet people that you've grown up listening to? You may not idolize them, but you've grown up listening to them, and you're aware of what they do and who they are, and they have a certain level of fame, and so you're kind of enamored by that. But then you get to meet these people, and they're just super down to earth. I remember I got to meet. I was working as a product specialist for a guitar company in Melbourne, in Victoria, in Australia. And George Lynch, they flew George Lynch out because we distributed ESP guitars. They flew George Lynch out in 2006. This was back in 2006. I was working for these guys. I had Lynch posters all over my wall in the 80s and early 90s. He was like my guy. It was just something about him and how he looked and the guitars he had and the music that I was absolutely just they did the song for Nightmare on Elm Street 3. So for me, I was like, yeah, like that's it. I'm done. Got to
Yeah,
meet Lynch, and he literally handed me his guitar case. He's like, "Oh, hey man, do you mind looking after that for me?" He was like, we were talking about cladding and roofing and just basic, mundane, everyday
yeah,
shit, anything but guitar and music. And dude, he was like the most super genuine, down to earth dude, and I couldn't believe it. And so to hear you've had a similar experience with Steve Stevens,
yeah.
I'm not surprised. You hear some horror stories, but it's always good
Yeah.
when you get the good ones, you know.
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I was just, I don't know if you know this gentleman. His name is Paul Miles. He's an Australian, and he lives out here now. And
I don't know him personally, but I'm aware of him. Yeah.
yeah, and I think I sent him your thing. I go, "You know this guy? I don't know a lot of you Australians. You guys know
He's
each
like,
other?"
no,
He's like, "I
we
think
all
he
live
said
in
the
the
same
same
thing."
town. Yeah.
But yeah, I was
Yeah.
telling him, I go, "Dude, it's taken me this long to realize when you meet people that you idolize, like the Lynch and all this stuff, it's like it, they don't want to talk about this shit, man. You know, you got to bring
No.
up anything. So every time I meet people, I've always made the mistake of being like, so when you were making like Dr. Feelgood, was it like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, dude, they want to
Yeah.
talk about they want to talk about Game Boy, Nintendo. They want to talk
Yeah. Yeah.
about anything, shoe size, whatever.
Yeah.
It's
Dude,
just funny.
it's so true. Well, let's talk about this, right? So let's get off the the film
Yeah.
clip and the song for a second, and let's get into some more meaty stuff. Um, and it's not necessarily, I mean, it is music related, but it's more about you as a person and your journey. But I get the impression that you're on a journey, and that you're kind of never settled. You're
Yeah.
kind of exploring what music has to offer. I get like Bill Bixby from, the Incredible Hulk vibes. You just you kind of wander from thing to thing. It just is what it is. Wherever the journey takes you. Um, I remember growing up, and there was a TV show. It was called The Littlest Hobo, and it was basically a dog that went from town to town, and just helped people. And I kind of feel like that's, and I could be way off base, but I kind of get the vibe that that's you with your musical journey. You're sticking at it. It is what it is. Whatever comes up, and you just take each day as it comes. Is that a fair assessment?
I would say so, almost to a selfish way. You know, I think I probably would have had better success if I would have been more honed in. I'll give you an example. Is like my friend Dan, who was a guitar tech for Slayer forever and Guns N' Roses and stuff. And I remember he was out with Slayer, and I'm like, hey man, at sound check or anything, does Kerry King or any of these cats, do they ever just bust into a Sweet Home Alabama or
Mm,
anything? And he's like,
mm,
no, just metal, just metal. And I've always said, I've said this many times before, but it's like I've always looked at this whole thing as a painter with all these colors on his wheel. And, you know, let's say metal's red and yellow, and just all day you do red and yellow, and that's what you do. But every day you look down and there's teal and there's these beautiful blues. And it's like you never get to mess with that. So, you know, almost to a fault, I've always jumped around stylistically a little bit. Like even on some of the earlier Bullets and Octane albums, we were heavily into the Living End, your boys down there,
mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
and I thought they were just, when they came out, I'm like, are you kidding me? This is Stray Cats and Green Day married
yeah,
together with all these
yeah, dude.
crazy arrangements. Like when it came
They
to
were
like,
massive down here. Like they were at the forefront of what Australian music was doing when they came
yeah,
out, and they broke big.
yeah. I mean, it was huge. I mean, it's a crime in my opinion that they weren't way bigger. Like, you know, I mean, we could all sit here. I mean, you could talk to
Yeah, yeah.
anybody that does what we do, and they can give you a list of bands and artists that should be here and why the
Mm-hmm.
ones that are here should be down here. But
Yeah,
man, Living End are fantastic. But yeah, jumping around stylistically, just kind of following whatever is exciting at that moment. And I know it makes it kind of hard to build a career when you're always kind of shifting. You know, every album has a little bit of a different thing. It's hard for anybody to really stick with the past of Bullets and Octane because and here's the funny thing too is depending on what country the band did well in. Like you can go to the UK and they're like, man, your early stuff, your beginning stuff is the best. And I'm like, well,
yeah,
what's your beginning for the band? You know, what is the
yeah, yeah,
album
yeah.
that you feel is our first album? Um, so it's like a lot of people think the more metal stuff is our original sound when here our first stuff was very poppy, kind of like
Yeah.
more catchy, more like more rancid and punk rock than it is, you know, noodly and Avenged Sevenfoldy, you know.
Yeah. So you've got that
Hard to please them all.
musical vagabond lifestyle down. And that's you, man. And so from what I've seen, look, it's working for you to some extent, right? It's don't change. Just keep doing what you're doing because I'm intrigued by what you do and how you go about what you do at the moment. I see all the reels and stuff that you post, and I'm like, man, he's doing it a different way. It's cool. But let's arc
Thanks.
back to 2004. So 2004, we have two albums drop. So for me, two big albums dropped in 2004. I mean, there were a lot, but these two stick in my mind, and for reasons that since kind of tie it all together. But obviously, Revelry gets released. So Bullets and Octane Revelry comes out 2004.
Yeah.
And then we have Letterkills The Bridge comes out in 2004 as well.
Hmm.
Um, I found out about Letterkills because of a T-shirt that the singer from Story of the Year wore in a photo shoot that popped up online in 2004. I was on
Yeah.
LimeWire. I was trying to find new music. Like I said, I was in a musical kind of quagmire. I was lost. I think I found Story of the Year on like Pepsi Smash. They were on a TV show,
Yeah.
and I was like, dude, who are these fucking guys? And they were doing some crazy shit live, and so I was just, wow, what is that? Like, what's happening there? And then I see this dude, he's wearing a Letterkills t-shirt. I'm like, oh, like what is that? So I searched for that, and I found these guys, and I found that album. And so like that was a massive album for me. Like that album was huge. And life has a funny way of showing up for people sometimes, So not only are you doing the Bullets and Octane thing again, like you're kind of heavily into that and pushing that.
Yeah.
But now you're an active member of Letterkills as well, playing drums. So you said you started off playing drums. You're in this band now as an active member playing drums. You've recently I think maybe back in Feb, you guys did the Story of the Year launch show at the pageant. So
Yeah.
what was that like, being back in St. Louis, being back in your hometown and playing a pretty massive gig in St. Louis? I mean, the pageant's like a pretty good venue to play in St. Louis. So you've come back home, you're back in that space. Man, what was that like for you?
Yeah. Man, so much to unpack there, because you mentioned the t-shirt and you mentioned digging into Letterkills from Dan wearing the t-shirt. And it's funny because I remember going with the drummer of Story of the Year, Josh, to a Primus concert when we were in middle school together. And I remember
you and Josh were friends growing up.
We all grew up together in our small town of Missouri Overland. And
that's so cool.
And it was really neat, man. So to roundabout answer your question, it's like going and playing that show. It was really cool because I was, like the parents of the members of Story of the Year were also guardians for myself as a kid too. So backstage, I mean, the show itself, yes, it was fun. It was great to play with Story of the Year. We were very excited and very gracious that they put us on there and that it meant so much to them, that Letterkills means so much to them. And they all grew up watching me play drums. They'd come down to my parents' basement and they'd be like, play this song, play this song. So I was pretty good as a kid. My father is a drummer and all this stuff. And, but the fun part was backstage and seeing everybody's family, everybody's parents. Like, I haven't seen the Story of the Year band members' parents probably since we were kids. So to see them again, and, it was like a family reunion of sorts. And it was really cool to celebrate it with such a amazing thing of their release of their new album and, Letterkills guys, because we all around that 2004 era were doing stuff. Letterkills and Bullets did some tours together. And I think that's where we kind of came together. So when I heard a few years back that Letterkills was possibly getting back together, I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. And that's just me being a fan of Letterkills. I'm like, man, that band ended way too soon. They should have done another. And
dude, there was no sophomore album. There was no sophomore album. Like, it's a tragedy.
It's a weird thing because I feel like it's kind of a blessing today because most bands, they get the opportunity to mess up a legacy pretty quickly. And I feel like they just gave everybody the bridge, like Letterkills, the bridge, here it is. And then it kind of just went away. Like, they didn't muck it up. Everybody has a great taste in their mouth. And they're just like, I wish we had that back again. So to be a part of that is amazing. So when I found out they were coming back together, I didn't realize that would mean there's an opportunity for the drumming situation. So when I got the phone call for that, I'm like, dude, absolutely. I would love to, because that's my style, man. I love the bridge. And, we just finished putting together this brand new Letterkills album. So hopefully that'll be coming out later this year.
Dude, what's it like? Is it sick?
I think it's pretty crazy, I mean, and I'll be honest, maybe I'm speaking out of turn, but I think when a band is taking a break and you come back, there's a tendency of like, well, let's pick up where the band left off. But it's like everybody grows up, like you said, it's like we're all older now and we've been influenced by 20 something years in between of different influences. So it's like you want to stay true to the original sound, but you also know that would be kind of a sin as well, because then you're just trying to fit into a t-shirt from high school you don't fit in anymore, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
So
I do. I know that feeling well. Fuck me.
it's
Yeah, I do.
hilarious. I hear
It's
you.
rough. Yeah. Well, it's like, what's funny is that, like, you mentioned, the journey and growing, and obviously, there's 20 years in between, but I've listened to some of the stuff that Matt's done, Matt Shelton, that he is.
Yeah.
I mean, most of what he's done after that, like, I've kind of, kept my finger on the pulse of that, and man, there are some great fucking tunes that he's like. He is a great songwriter and a
Yeah.
killer voice. And did you contribute to the songwriting for this new Letterkills album? Like, did you have a hand in it? I mean, obviously you're a prolific songwriter. We know that. The great singer. You're there to, play drums, but it's a
Yeah.
collaborative space, I would imagine. So did you have a lot of input with what was going on there?
Well, I mean, I'd like to think that I'm a little too honest in interviews and things about stuff. That there's like the publicist answer, and then there's so I kind of feel like when that was going on, everyone was still trying to find their own personal footing in who they are now. The original
Mm.
members, like, what are we doing? And I'm the newer guy going, I'm used to just doing what I want. So I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
okay, here's this, here's this, here's this. And I'm kind of like, I should probably just, in this situation, kind of take a back seat slightly and just let these guys sort out what they want to do. And of course, as it should be, it is their thing from back in the day. So it was, to be honest, I think it'll always be a little strange to find my place in that, if you know what I mean.
Mm.
So so the way I looked at it is, I'll send out ideas. If anybody wants to use them, go for it. If not, no skin off my back. If I'm just supposed to sit back and play 2 and 4 on the kit, I'm totally okay with that. Bullets and Octane takes so much of my, I exhaust so much songwriting energy that way, that I kind of almost like it if I could just sit back, be a drummer, lay it down solid as hell. And
Mm.
if that's what I do, that's what I do. But, yeah, and that's what's funny, man. Yeah, you're right. Matt is such a, crazy writer with stuff, and he's pretty quiet about it. And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he'll go, "Oh, I got this song," and it's like, dude, where did that come from? How long have you been sitting on this gem?
Dude, there was a song on the bridge, "Hold My Heart," and
Right?
it's fucking two chords,
Yeah.
chords.
I
And
mean, he's really,
dude,
that's
and
his sweet spot.
yeah, it's just so good. Like, I remember hearing that song, especially that song, because my preference, if I'm listening to an album, I'm looking for the slower, more kind of emotional, ballady style kind of song. I don't know why. It goes back to my childhood. I had a massive deal with Foreigner, and I want to know what love is. That always seemed to like fuck with me when I was a kid for some reason. I don't know why. I can't explain it, but that's always hung with me throughout life. And so, yeah, I always look for those songs. And that song in particular, that "Hold My Heart" song, is just, it's two chords. It just sits on that one chord, and then the melody builds and builds and builds and builds and cascades, and then it just changes. And so it builds to that point that when that next chord comes in, you're just like, it's like perfect.
Dude, I'm telling you, that's like Matt's sweet spot. And like everybody in the band kind of knows that, like they know that Matt's gonna, like, we can come up with like the fast rockin' stuff and everything. But like, we know that Matt's gonna come through with like 1 to 2, maybe more of like those banger ballads,
Yeah.
it has a little bit of Bryan Adams, a little bit of, and it's great. And it's funny that you mentioned that childhood Foreigner thing, because when I was a kid, not even understanding the lyrics and the depth of lyrics, because you're a kid, but dude, like the Flame, Cheap Trick, and like there's these different songs, like even Time on My Hands by Elton John. Like, I have no idea what love was. I didn't know what emotions were, but it would affect me as a kid.
Yeah, you felt shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
and
crazy.
I don't know why. You don't know why, but I didn't understand what any of the words meant, but the melodies themselves, I mean, it really says something, in my opinion, and it looks like you might agree, that melody, in my opinion, will always kind of trump over the lyric, because I mean, there's all kinds of great lyrics, but when the melody is the emotional trigger for me, hands down.
Yeah, 100%, man. your socials, right? So we're talking about music. You're on social media. Um, do you enjoy that aspect of where music has headed? Because it's just short flashes of random information, all with the understanding that it's for engagement. Do you enjoy that aspect of where the music industry has taken people? I mean, obviously it's a necessary evil. We have to do it. But I don't know, man. Like growing up when I grew up in the era that I grew up in, and again, like we spoke about this, it's and you mentioned, when we were chatting that, just to watch old movies, like 80s and 90s movies, and you just see people engaging with people. They're not stuck on their phones. They're not ignoring everybody else,
Yeah.
and they're not trapped in this device. Um, I find it a necessary evil. Do I enjoy it? I don't know if I enjoy putting myself out there like that as much. Um, do I spend a lot of time on my device? Probably more than I should. I have 4 children. I have a wife. I do this kind of stuff. I have a full-time job. I'm a bank manager, right? So
Wow.
it's yeah, but I enjoy talking to people and interacting with people, and I love music, and I kind of gave up on the idea that I would be successful at music a long time ago. But this is a way for me to contribute to the community, right? So I do
Yeah.
it because I love doing it. I enjoy doing it. But there are certain elements and aspects of the social media side of thing that I find heavy. And I don't know that I
Yeah.
agree with it, but I'm trapped in it and I don't know what to do about it. You know?
I feel you. Well, damn, man, I really, I said, talked about it briefly earlier. It's like, man, we got to keep doing this stuff. Like, we
Mm.
have to find the time. We have to keep doing it, And I appreciate that you're doing these things, man. And I know people reach out to me every time I feel like I want to throw in the towel. I'll have someone will reach out to me, and it's definitely not in quantity, but in quality. There is people that reach out and go, "I just want you to know that this song or this thing you did really helped me through this time." And then I'm like, oh shit, I got to keep going. Like I
That's
got to keep doing it.
that's literally, and this is what I mentioned earlier. I think you reacted to a story I'd posted. And I was like, hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it. And you were
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, awesome stuff. I appreciate the work you're doing.
Yeah.
And just that happening at that time, like I said, the person I started his channel with, he kind of decided he's going to do other things, which is fine. And then I got disillusioned and thought, you know what, I'm probably not, like I'll pump these shorts out. I'll get this one up because I already filmed it all, and I'll get that up. And then I don't even know if it's something I want to continue doing. And then literally your message came through saying that, and I'm like, man,
Yeah.
like that's super cool. I got to keep doing it.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, man, I have these conversations with a lot of other musicians that have been doing it this long, and it's exhausting and it's tiring. Not to make this a negative conversation or make it, but it is a thing of, you know, I think the interesting thing about not getting the fame, not getting the riches, not getting all of the things that make people keep doing it for possibly the wrong reasons, but I just noticed that it's like, even when I don't want to, like, I'm giving up, I'm done with this crap, then I keep writing. I keep writing, and
Mm,
I realize that I'm always going to keep writing. So apparently, I just need to do it. I think I just need to change my mental thing of what my expectations are from it. And that kind of, if you allow it to be, it kind of frees up any of that crap. Like, I don't have anybody on my back saying, like, okay, well, you got that one hit. Like, if I was like, maybe a bad example, but if I was like Papa Roach and I had this Cut My Life into Pieces song that took off, and now I've got a mountain of people behind me going, we need another one. We need another one. Like,
mm,
you got this machine, you got to fill it, and you got to sound like this. Don't break the mold. Keep it fucking down the track. But it'd be nice to have that kind of money. But on the other hand, it's like,
very nice.
it's like I can do whatever the fuck I want, and I'm just going to
Yeah.
keep creating stuff, and if it works out, great. But other than that, I guess I figured out that I'm going to have to live by the sword, die by the sword, and if it means I die poor, I have a collection of stuff. I'd like to picture that maybe if I'm 80 years old, God willing, and I'm sitting there and someone wheels in the computer, which I don't know if that'll still be a thing, and they'll just go back and play all the YouTube videos, and listen to all this stuff. Like, that is riches that most people might not have. Now, they might have the stability and the security of their bank accounts and all the stuff they did in a
Mm,
normal life. They played the game, they did the structural thing, and good for you. But I look at it in this way: riches are a different type of thing for different people. So it's like I'm rich in this other kind of way. And maybe a lot of people don't give a shit about it. Maybe they do. Maybe they'll find it someday. Maybe it'll all make sense someday. But for right now, it most certainly isn't, because it's working out in my favor. There's nobody hitting me up that's like, I can't believe it, you've sold out these shows. Like, no, people
Mm.
don't really understand it necessarily. But so I appreciate what you're doing. Long-winded there. But man.
Yeah, look, and like it's hard. Like you reaching out to Steve Stevens was like me reaching out to Josh or Adam from Story of the Year, or
Yeah.
Ryan, who never writes back. But it's it's like reaching out to those guys, right? For me, because they had a profound impact on me musically when, like, in my formative years when I was coming up and starting bands, and that scene just kind of blew up, and we were part of that scene in Melbourne here. And I got to play Taste of Chaos with those guys in 2005.
Nice.
So yeah, it was fucking wild. Like, highlight of my musical life, but absolutely fucking wild. But yeah, so me reaching out to them and them writing back and say, yeah, man, like, let's do something. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it just shit like that. Those small wins along the way, they just keep you going. They keep the ball rolling, right? And it's meaningful.
Yeah.
Speaking of meaningful, this is a direct quote. I'm quoting you.
Oh.
It's important to write goofy and strange nonsense to reset the antenna for fresh ideas.
Yeah.
So, like, what a great way to approach your creativity. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Creative congestion is a thing.
Yeah,
There's just so much noise, and you have to clear it out somehow.
Well, I tell you what, one of the ones that I did 20 years ago on the RCA release, In the Mouth of the Young, I think we just got done doing, I think so, I could be wrong. It's so long ago, but I think we were doing like the Korn Family Values tour, and every band was just, you know, and I like melody, like we talked about, The Flame, Foreigner, melody. And so I didn't pull anything from that. And I came home, I was trying to write, and I'm like, dude, I gotta get out of here. So I literally picked up an acoustic bass, not sure why, and I put on 311 Grassroots, the second album they had. And I'm like learning all of 311 Grassroots on bass or playing along. I put it down, picked up the guitar, and instantly wrote a song called I Ain't Your Savior, which came out on the RCA album, which ended up being one of the bigger streamed songs. It's in movies, it's in video games and stuff. So it's always something like that. Like, like even today, I'll most likely will put on something like They Might Be Giants, right? And, they got all these goofy songs that are just like so weird. And some reason that like clears off the chalkboard, and it's like, okay, let's start over. Like, what are we let's come from a different approach, as opposed to like listening to, let's go to the active rock charts because that's my demographic right now. And let's figure out what the fuck Return to Dust is doing, or, oh my God. So none of that. But I will say something funny. You say that you were jokingly saying that Ryan from Story of the Year doesn't get back to you. Just really quick, funny. I know it's all in good fun here. So when I went back to visit my family and my friends in St. Louis a little like earlier this year. I happened to be in town when Smashing Pumpkins were playing, and let's all go. So we went there, and I run into Ryan's wife, and I'm like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "Ryan's here too." So Ryan comes up, and I go, "Dude, I fucking message you, and like you never get back." And she goes, "Look at this. Give me your phone." And she shows me Ryan's phone, and it dude, literally in his like on the notifications where it says your phone calls, your text messages, it's like 1,169 messages unread. Like
It's
everything
insane.
it would drive. I'm full of anxiety. I don't know about you, but when I open my phone, I have to see all the notifications have been,
Yeah, sorted. Yeah, there can't be that little red with the number on it.
So that was funny.
I don't know what he does, man. But like, it's funny you mentioned that you had songs on video games and across multiple media platforms and so forth. Like, you guys like a WrestleMania song, is that correct? Like a WWF.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. Somehow we got clumped into, I think it was just that time of extreme sports and stuff. Like even the other day, old friend of mine, she was at a monster truck rally, Bigfoot, and they'd smash cars and stuff.
Yeah.
And she sent me a video, and I'm like, okay, like, cool. And she goes, no, well, listen, turn up the volume on the video I sent you. And there's, I guess, a monster truck called the Black Pearl. and they come out to one of our songs. Every time he is out in the arena smashing cars, it's to our song Bullets and Octane Pirates. And
Yeah.
so there's all these things of like, ATV, extreme motorcycles, and wrestling,
Yeah.
and like, and I have it isn't I had nothing to do with any of that, but somehow it found a
Yeah.
place. Hey, as long as
You're
it
a
gets
wrestling
played
fan.
somewhere.
You're a wrestling fan. Well, it was WrestleMania. I just had a quick look. It was WrestleMania 22. Yeah.
Yeah,
Which was,
yeah, man.
that's like wild. And the track, what was the track? It
For I think that
was
was it Save Me
Save Me
Sorrow?
Sorrow. Yeah, Save Me Sorrow.
Yeah.
Insane, man. That is absolutely insane. Like, was that a licensing thing that RCA put together for you guys to kind of shop that around? Was that the deal with, because obviously RCA is a major label. It
Yeah.
was your second album. So to be signed to a major second album, did those guys have the helm? Were they driving the truck?
Yeah, I mean, the honest answer is, my man, that Matt Marshall and Matt Walsh were like the duo team of A&R guys that kind of were signing us, and Matt Marshall had found like Tool and Modest Mouse a few years there later, and he was very artsy and things like that. We happened to start to sign to a major label, much like many bands around that time, when there was an interesting shift happening. People were getting fired, people were quitting. This is when downloads and like uploads and everything was changing. And to tell you the truth, specifically with RCA, they were married to American Idol. Not sure if that's a thing you guys
Yeah.
know about down there,
Yeah.
but it's like, it became more about like the Kelly Clarksons of the world and all that stuff. So basically, for a lack of a better way to put it, white boy rock and roll was kind of going like this,
Yeah.
and we just signed to it. And you could just tell that they were throwing us against the wall and really didn't want to put the effort behind it. Very minimal hands-on belief in it. So we're holding on for
Mhm.
dear life. We're touring our asses off. And, just like many, it's like, if it works out and a song comes out and it goes to the top of the charts, we're going to end up being their sweet little darlings at RCA. But of course, like many, they're not going to, as soon as one thing kind of doesn't go the right way, it's like throw your hands up
It's
and
done.
go, that's it. We're done,
Mhm.
So I felt like it was like looking back at it now, I felt like it was slightly doomed kind of from the get go. It was a tax write off or something like that. So to answer your question,
Yeah.
I was playing Rockstar. I was out of my mind. I was partying like there was no tomorrow. I was Tommy Lee, I was I was doing
Yeah.
Motley Crue, The Dirt.
Yeah.
And so I'm not really sure exactly what was going on. I wish I would have had my hand on the pulse a little bit more of the decision making back then, but
Mhm.
I was doing my role of idiot, which was be the lead singer, go out there, take your pants off, and do the thing.
So it's funny you mentioned that we did an interview. It was probably the second interview we did for this channel, actually, and it was a pretty big one for us. We got James Hart from 18 Visions.
Oh
Not sure
yeah,
if
yeah,
you're aware of those guys, but man, they came out with their self-titled. I think it was 2006.
yeah,
Yeah, and they just signed to a major, like similar vibe. There were a lot of hands in the pie. I listened to that album, and it's a great album. Like, it sounds, you mentioned Def Leppard earlier. It has that production value of Def Leppard
yeah.
in fleeting moments on that album, and but yeah, similar vibe. Like they really didn't have as much control as they probably should have had. The label thought it should go one way. They thought it should go another way. This single should be released. They thought this single should be released. It really wasn't managed well. And there's no reason that album shouldn't have blown up massive. Like, when you listen to that album now, it still holds up.
Yeah.
And it's just interesting that similar artists doing similar things in a similar scenario had a very similar outcome. Mismanagement of great bands by a label that really
Yeah.
didn't understand what they had,
Yeah, I mean, it's still, to this day, my opinion still feels the same. Like Ian Montone, I can't believe I just pulled that out. He was a lawyer back in the day. I think we were going to work with him, and he ended up managing White Stripes. Like, he broke them. And I remember when the White Stripes came out, I remember someone had it before it came out. And I went to their house and they pushed play, and I had no idea. And I'm like, this is cool. It's a cool demo, They're like, no, this is it, man. It's going to be huge. And I go, is there no bass? No.
Mm.
Okay, who played drums? It kind of sounds like not the best. Like, no, it's going to make sense. And what I'm getting at though is that White Stripes comes out. Clearly, it works. The red and white thing. Are they brother and they sister? Are they married? Are they together? And all that stuff. And of course, it works. So you see all these people going, Jack White, he's a genius. Of course it. But I feel like regardless if he is a genius or not isn't the point. But the point is that if it would have fallen flat on its face, I just picture all these A&R guys sitting around going, well, of course it didn't work. I mean, the whole thing based around a
Yeah.
red and white color scheme. It was so silly. It was so niche. Like I could picture them like acting like they knew, but
Yeah.
it's like they never know what the hell they're doing. They truly don't. And see, I'm not dogging all of them. It is kind of like there is no way to really talk about art. Art is subjective. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
And how much timing is involved. Like if there's a void for a certain sound, like even yesterday I heard Jet come on. Jet came on. I haven't heard Jet in a bunch of years now. And it
Hmm.
still sounds awesome and fresh, but I think bands like that and the Hives, when they came out, there was just a time where that sounded really fresh and really kind of like a new relief. Like, yes,
Yeah.
we need that. So I don't know, man. You get lucky or you don't. It's kind of a
Speaking of lucky, you're still able to tour the UK. So that's coming up. So we've
yeah,
got 26th of May through to the 6th of June, thereabouts.
yeah.
How amped are you to get back to the UK?
Oh, it's great, man. Those people are fantastic. They're so supportive of anything you do. They they're along for the ride, and they always have been ever since we went over there 20 years ago. They stick with you, and I think that's huge. It's great, man. It's good to unplug and go be a part of a different culture for a hot second, and
Mm,
I mean, all those festivals they do over there, most of the people working are volunteering their time. Some of them aren't even really getting paid. It's just they want to keep the rock festival thing alive so much. So I really
yeah.
appreciate how much they stick to it. It's going to be cool, man. It's going to be a lot of those people have become family to us over the years, supporting us, giving us places to stay, bringing us food, all that stuff.
That's so
So
good, man.
it's pretty
But
neat,
again,
man.
man, yeah, look, it's a community, right? And again, if you find when I was younger and I was super pumped about a band or an artist, and you develop that connection. But then when you get older, you have older people money. You know what I mean? Like, and so, man, like if that band that you loved when you were younger is coming out, man, you're gonna go there. You're gonna buy a ticket. You're gonna take your mate. You take your wife. You're gonna book a hotel room. You're gonna buy merch. You're gonna
Yeah,
make an experience of it. And that's what my wife and I do. Anytime there's a band or a festival or something that we're super amped and pumped about, like bands are coming out. Yeah, like we'll get her family to look after the kids, and we go for a night or two, and we make an experience of it. And so, for those people to work in the festivals and doing the things that they do for acts and bands like yourselves, yeah, like it's born out of love and passion for music and for you guys. So
yeah,
you can hang your hat on that, man. If nothing else, you've affected people along your journey, right? What can
yeah.
fans expect from this version of Bullets and Octane live?
It's a good question, man. I mean, I always just hang my hat on, at least from what I'd like to do is, I really love connecting with people. I really love the idea because life is stressful. You and I have talked a little bit on here and outside of this, where the stresses of life are real,
Mhm.
and so for me, I love putting on the show and all that jazz, but going out and like hugging people and putting the mic in their face, even if they don't want it there, and just getting them out of their shells, like let
Yep.
go, be here right now with me, be right here. I know you got bills. I know that your kids are sick. I know that the car doesn't run very well. I get it. I fucking get it. But just be here right now. And so to me, it's like and it's contagious. And I know it sounds kind of hokey, but by the time you get to song 5 in the set, song 6 in the set, the ice is completely broken. We're all right here, and we're all just kind of jumping and letting go. And it sounds a little hippie and stuff, man, but it's moment of freedom. Like if we're all kind of just letting go, we live in that moment, and that translates into something. And I remember, man, I'm serious. By the last song of the set, and it's like, thank you, everybody, da da da. And we're all just smiling. They're smiling at me. I'm smiling at them. The band's smiling at each other, and something happened. And it's not because of me. It's not because of them. It's not because of these guys behind me. It just kind of happened. And it's really emotional for me because I realize now, maybe I'm getting a little too into your question here, but like
No, go off.
life is pretty short, man. Life is pretty insanely short. And I realize like every time I'm there, I'm like, I might not get to come back to the UK again. This might be the last time I'm in this room. And this person right here we're connecting, I might not see them again. And
Mm.
as much as that kind of feels sad and scary, it's also very real, which makes it more intense in that moment. Like you just want to be right here. And I don't know, man. That's all we could really do. I don't know. Some bands have a lot of backing tracks and a lot of lighting and a lot of other stuff, and it's about this theatrical thing, and that's beautiful in itself. But I feel like just the deeper connection of being in a moment, that's where I hang my hat, my friend.
Well, look, it's about community, connection, camaraderie. It's about coming together, right? And man, if you can nail all of that, and people will willingly give over their money to come and hang out with you for an hour,
Yeah.
and enjoy themselves, and like you said, let go of everything else that's going on in life, because it's like everything's super heavy at the moment in the world in general. Like everything's
Yeah.
just super heavy, super hard. There's this foreboding over everything, and man, if you can lift that even for an hour for somebody, man, yeah, that's worth the price of admission. Even though that shit's super expensive these days. Like, man, what's going on with the ticketing over there? Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Crazy.
I know. And even
Insane.
just selling a vinyl. Like we're like, all right, let's get some vinyl. We never really do such a thing. And
Mm.
I'm like, man, we're gonna have to sell this thing for like 60 pounds, you know? Not that we will, but I'm just saying,
I got my wife a record player for Mother's Day because, we want to start Vinyl Connection, and that's something that she wants to do. So I'm like, okay, well, it's Mother's Day. We'll get it. It's from the kids. It's from all of us. And we got her first record and her first record player. Dude, fucking $85, $90 here for for a record.
No way.
Well, yeah, because I mean, our dollar is dog shit. So, but it's absolutely insane that it costs that much money. Fucking blows my mind. Yeah, like blows my mind. Have you guys ever played Australia?
Dude, I just was talking about that with Paul. He was asking me about that. It's always been like pulled from underneath of us. Like I think we were supposed to maybe go out there once with Papa Roach, and it was like finally Australia, we're doing it. And something happened last minute. Then there was another opportunity last minute. So that's kind of like a bucket list thing for me personally. Is I gotta find a way to do the Australia thing at least once, man, at least once. So I have no idea what that looks like. I'm sure it's not going to be cheap.
Fuck.
It's not going to be cheap.
No. Dude, if vinyl's $90, it's not going to be cheap. I can tell you that much.
I mean, even the gas prices now, like we're going, Letterkills is doing Texas this week. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. Of course, the size of Texas. It's probably the size of Australia. I don't even know. But it's like, we're going to be going San Antonio and Dallas and Austin. And I'm like, holy cow, gas is like $7 a gallon at the cheapest place you could find. And I'm like, we got to sell a lot of fucking t-shirts to make this thing work out, man.
Dude, well, look, that band still has one of the best band t-shirts in the history of band t-shirts. Literally just that logo on a fucking black t-shirt. Just, it's the best. It is the best. The one I used to have was black t-shirt with the red logo.
Yeah.
So you got to bring the red back, man. The red was sick. That's what I
remember. For sure.
Yeah. Gene, man, it's been awesome. Look, we'll wrap it up. I'm mindful of your time. I don't want to keep you. I'm sure you've got some jogging to do. You've probably already done it. You've probably already done it.
Yeah, I'm up at 5.
Yeah. Yeah, man, like grab another coffee, do some doom scrolling for a bit, do what you do. But man, look, I'm super appreciative of the opportunity to have a chat. We're definitely going to stay in contact for sure. Man, I'm super amped and pumped for you guys for the 22nd. I'm pumped for the UK shows. I'm pumped for the Letterkills shows that are coming up in a day or two. Just super excited for you, man. You seem like a super genuine guy who is, working his way through in it, but still producing some awesome art, man. Like the new single is absolutely killer. I've heard the other tracks that are there currently. I can't wait for the rest. So, Man, if there's ever
Yeah.
anything you need from me, just reach out. Is there ever anything I can do? Just, yeah, you know, hit me up. If you need help with content, fucking reach out. I'm here. Let me know.
Please. Well, I'm
Yeah.
going to go ahead and invite myself into, let's do a recap when all the touring's over and stuff like that, man. I'd love to jump back on with you and maybe we can recap of some of Letterkills and Bullets and Octane tour and the albums and stuff. I'd love to do
100%.
that. Cool.
100%. Let's do it, man. Let's do it.